Welcome back to another episode of Ask Dan. So these seem to be going quite well, getting some good positive feedback from these. So thank you very much if you are listening. Always a pleasure to hear how you like them. I like doing them, so they're going to carry on regardless. But it's always better if you guys are enjoying them too. So this week I've got my 3 questions, so thank you for everyone who's submitted a question. There are some questions which I'm not going to talk about because they just were. Some of them are quite vulgar, and some of them were just not relevant to anything really. However, the ones that I am going to talk about, obviously, thank you for those questions. And I think the theme that I want to build this around is for parents who are working from home and their kids are off school because we're in lockdown, and feel like you are failing because you are not teaching your kids. You're not getting that balance right between having a job and homeschooling your kids. And the reason I want to talk about this is because you're not a teacher. The reason that you're struggling with this in the same way that I was struggling with this is because when this lockdown happened, so let's roll it back. So before the lockdown happened, we as a family were in self-isolation or household isolation for just over a week before the schools closed. So I'd been working at home for that week. The kids were off school for that week. It was fine, you know. There was actually no real expectation to do schoolwork because my son was ill, so why would he? So it's cool, we just kind of carried on as normal. It was like an impromptu half term. Friday rolls around, school shut, and then the Monday comes and we're getting into kind of day 9, 10 of self-isolation. For those of you that are following the daily vlog of my self-isolation videos will kind of see this coming. And there was a real expectation and a real pressure that I certainly felt around, now I have to homeschool my child. And how am I going to do that? And I saw on social media people putting up charts and, you know, this is English, this is maths, this is play, this is PE, this is art. And it was timetabled out. And I thought, man, do I have to do that? Is that what our expectation is? And you know, I've got friends who, you know, colleagues, and also friends at other companies who've adjusted their working hours so that they can kind of teach in the morning and then work in the afternoons and in the evenings. And that's fantastic, by the way, both to the companies that are facilitating that and also to those individuals. Like that is tough. But I thought, is this what I have to do? And so on that Monday and that Tuesday, I was like trying to herd cats. I was like, you know, Theo, come on, we need to do this, but I need to be on calls all day because I'd been working all that weekend because it had really kicked off at work. And we had to build a load of stuff on the website and it was just nuts. So I'd kind of, you know, not had a day off and then gone into this. I'm in back-to-back calls from kind of 8 till 8 and also now trying to homeschool my son, and obviously, you know, my wife's about, she's on maternity leave, but again I was like, well, she's about, so surely she just has 2 kids instead of 1 kid, right? That is not right. And it was really hard. And it was only when I started thinking about this and was like, do you know what, I'm just done. I'm just done trying to be a teacher and be a worker. I can't do it. And then I thought, well, of course I can't do it because I'm not a teacher. And that is the one message, you know, obviously I want to answer your questions, but that is the one message I want to get across. You are not a teacher unless you are a teacher, and then just ignore this. But you're you know, teaching is a profession, as in you go to university or college. We have an international audience. And you study, and then once you've studied, you then do some form of postgraduate study or educational diploma, and then you're qualified to kind of learn to be a teacher, which you do on the job. But it's a full-time thing. And then it's a full-time thing that you train for years to do, including, as part of that training, particularly in the UK, hands-on experience of working in a school. And what we're doing is going, yeah, I wasn't a teacher on the Friday, but I will be on the Monday. But also, that's just going to be a side of desk thing on top of my actual job. Of course, that's not going to work. That's nuts. So just, my message here is give yourself a break. Like, of course you're not going to be able to, and actually, let me rewind. If you are doing this and it's working for you, hats off, carry on, love it. But for the 99.9% of you that are worried about failing, that think that you're letting your kids down, like, honestly, this is just a dot in their educational, CV. Don't worry about it. They're quite resilient. I've just finished doing a podcast recording, which is why for the YouTube amongst you, I have beer in hand, with a parenting expert, and we were talking about this and saying, her take was look, kids, they just need stimulation. They just need to explore their minds and play and, emotional development and resilience. Like, if you can get them to do some reading and some maths, winning. If you can't, don't worry about it. So that's my main message. That's the main thing that I wanted to get across. So hopefully you find that useful. If you want to talk about this more, or you you think I'm wrong, let me know. Again, YouTube, post in the comments. Anyone else, email dan@careerdad.co.uk, or find me on LinkedIn. Always happy to talk about this stuff. Cool. So on to the questions. We've got, as I said, some of the questions were ignored. I have 3 solid questions, and this is where I look over to the whiteboard where I've written them down, otherwise I forget them. So question 1, how do you and your wife schedule time to make sure you both get work done? That's a really good question, and I think I've probably alluded to the answer in my little rant about how we're not teachers. So my wife is currently on maternity leave. We've got an 8-month-old daughter. My wife's on 12 months maternity leave. So she doesn't have work to do in the traditional sense. Very clear in the traditional sense, being a mum is as a full-on job. So, but what I mean is she's not, she's not got calls, she's not got meetings, so she doesn't have to work around that. What she does have is a baby that needs a lot of her attention. So, fitting work around is probably not so much of our issue. What our issue is how do we ensure that my son gets enough attention? And I think that, my wife's fantastic. She is at all times trying to occupy the both of them so that I'm able to do my job. And, it's not just doing my job, because I've got all of these nice little hobbies like doing podcasts and doing LinkedIn live chats and do, speaking to different groups and different companies and all of this stuff. So, and she facilitates all of that. I could not do what I do and the amount that I do it without her. So, I'm just in awe of what she's able to do. And, I think that, and I've thought this kind of pre-corona, we're just a team. And thankfully, we've been a team for a long time, like 15 years. We met young, and we kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We know each other's aspirations, hopes, dreams, fears, and we facilitate that. Obviously not the fears, hopefully. So that's kind of how we work. So like I say, for us, my main concern is just that Theo gets enough attention. What I try and do is carve time out in my day. So I don't where possible, I don't have meetings before 9:30, so that I can get up in the mornings with him. We play, we have breakfast, and I just have a leisurely start to the morning. I'm not rushing around anywhere. Actually, for the last few days, I've not had any meetings before 10, which has been great. So I don't have to spend my mornings frantically getting ready. I can spend my mornings just dossing around with him, which is cool. And then when I do have breaks throughout the day, I just come downstairs. I make sure that when I make my lunch, I sit downstairs with him, even if it's just 10 minutes, and just be very clear with him that this is the time that I have, which often isn't a lot, and there are complaints. But then he, and I don't want this to come out wrong, he's appreciative of the time that I give him. That sounds a bit crappy, but that's how we're managing it at the moment. But it's really tough. But great question, thank you. Question 2 is, when are you starting the daily isolation videos again? So I think this is a bit of a moot question now. So as I alluded to earlier, when we went into a family kind of lockdown before it was cool, I was doing isolation before it was cool, and I more so to help me than anyone else, I just did a daily kind of vlog. So just take little videos, little photos throughout the day, and montage them together and voice over kind of what was going on, but with kind of a hopeful comedic twist, because I found it hard. I really found it hard, and I find I love comedy, and so I just thought, and I think there's a combination of a love of comedy, happy to overshare my life, and also just have no real care what people think about me. So that combination means that I'm more than happy to just produce these videos for my own entertainment. The thing that actually took me by surprise was that so many people found them entertaining. And I mean, I put them on LinkedIn, right, which is, quote, the professional network. And there's me just like rolling around, like there's kids in there. It's brushing my teeth. There's things that you don't really see on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has probably been one of the heaviest responses in a positive way. And where this question comes from is, so I did my 14 days of isolation and I stopped because I was doing it for 14 days. And so when I put up day 14, I said, right, this is the last one. It's been emotional, blah, blah, blah. Man, the backlash that I got, the number of direct messages on LinkedIn, Instagram was pretty heavy as well. And also my wife's WhatsApp. But LinkedIn went nuts. It was what do you mean they're stopping? We need this. There was one guy who was saying, like, I don't know what you're thinking about. The whole UK's in lockdown, as you were. Carry on. So yeah, I thought, and then I spoke to my wife about it. My wife, I think secretly she genuinely loves all the time that I spend doing podcasting and putting myself out there. But she gives me a lot of stick for it. And even she was going, what do you mean you're stopping? I like these videos, which was telling. Sure, you can't stop. And so I thought, oh, maybe I can't stop. So then I decided to do a comeback, so a trailer for season 2. So this question must have come in that in-between spot of saying that it was over. And genuinely, I know there's some, oh, well, this is just all, you work in marketing. This was a marketing. Genuinely, I thought I was done. But now I have vowed to keep the videos coming until we are out of lockdown. So get ready for day 131, guys, because it's on its way. Do you know what? I've just realised I've never posted them on YouTube. That's nuts. Why have I not done that? Right, I'm going to have to bulk upload them to YouTube. That's tomorrow's task. Maybe Saturday's task. Tomorrow's Friday. Maybe it's tomorrow's task. I'm going to do that. And then I will post them daily on YouTube as well. Why not? Great question. So the last question I haven't written on the whiteboard because it's only just come in. which is handy because the other questions I really didn't want to answer. So this question is, see, I got my phone here, show you, it's legit. May I ask what your thoughts are on crowdfunding a new business? So that's a really interesting question, and actually I wish I'd seen it a little bit sooner, because I have a question on the question. Because crowdfunding a business, I'm going to assume, is what do I think around, almost going to a Kickstarter, as in this is my business idea and I want people to buy into it, as opposed to a crowdfunding of minds, as to say this is what I bring to the table, what are the creatives can what are the things can people bring, and how do you almost create a business in a crowdfunded way. I'm assuming it's the former, but if it is the latter, do let me know and I'll answer that. But assuming it is, what are my thoughts on crowdfunding a business in terms of to secure the money? Cool. I think it depends on your risk appetite in terms of, so if it's something like a Kickstarter, which I've used a couple of times, I think is a great platform. You only get the money if you get the full amount, and you're not expected to do anything apart from whatever package that person has signed up for. So there's no real expectation, and it's the same with this podcast, right? So I have a Patreon. So there are a few people who donate every month for me doing this podcast. They get sod all, basically. I say thank you very much, and that's about it. And I started off feeling really guilty about that, because I'm like, well, they're paying for something, they're not getting anything more for it. Obviously you can through different tiers, but I haven't really explored that. And I spoke to a couple of the guys, and these are my friends as well, right? And I said, look, just stop, just don't pay me anymore. You don't worry about it. And they were like, we just want to be a part of this. We just, it's like $1 a month in some cases. Like, I'm not going to miss it. I just want to feel like that I'm contributing to this. I want to be a part of it, part of the community. And so I almost had to have a word with myself and let that be. So I'd say, I guess the fact you're asking the question makes me feel like you've got some reservations. So I'd really like this to be a bit of back and forth. So I'm definitely going to message you back and find out a little bit more. But on the whole, I think it's great. I think it's great if you actually have a business. I think if you have an idea, it's a bit tricky, because ideas, what it comes down to personal preference, right? So Career Dad, I did have a few offers. I had one very solid offer, like within a few weeks of saying I'm thinking of doing this thing, and subsequently I've had one other kind of loose offer to explore about getting some funding for it. Personally, it's not a route that I want to go down, because I don't know what it is yet, and I don't want to feel like I owe someone something when I don't even know what it is. And I think mainly because it is an idea. Now, don't get me wrong, Career Dad does make some money, but it's only for things, it's basically for me, it's for my time. It's if I do a talk, or if I, do an event or a workshop or whatever it is. That's not really a business model to invest in, right? So I think if you've got a tangible business, whether that be a service or a product, that you can demonstrate, here is the thing, and this is what that investment will do, then great. I think if it's an idea for something, and you kind of want, the $1 million for the idea, again, if you're kind of wired to be okay with that, then great. But I just have a think about that. So the short answer is, I think it's a great opportunity, and I think if people want to buy into your idea, let them, but just be cautious that you don't go too quick. I think patience is, and that's the other thing with Career Dad, is that even in the 6 months that I've been doing it, it's already evolving in ways that I never thought when it first started. I mean, I never thought it was a business, for one, right? So I think, well, what about a year down the line? What could it look like then? And what about 5 years down the line? I'm not in this to have a silly amount of growth. I'm in this just to see what happens, and because I think it can help people. But that's just me. That's just me. So I think just find out why you're asking the question and what your reservations are. And if the reservation is you're asking the question and it's coming from a moral and ethical point of view, I probably say crowdfunding isn't the right thing for you. If it's from a should I do it and I'm just generally curious, then yeah, do it. Why not? But just don't judge yourself. Just do it and be full into it. So that's it, really. We've got through, this is a long one, sorry about that. We've gone through 20 odd minutes. So look, thank you for stopping by. If you do have a question for next week's episode of Ask Dan, YouTube, write in the comments. This will be on all the socials as well, so comment when I post the video, or do get in touch directly, dan@careerdad.co.uk. Have a good one, guys. Take it easy. Stay safe.